Hello YouTube, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different to my normal content, and I'm going to be going through my camera gear. So recently I've been getting more into my photography. It's an interest that I've had for many years, but more recently I've been trying my hand at different types of photography, and I'm going to take you through my camera gear today, and then I'm also going to show you some of the shots that I've been getting and show you some progression from how my photography used to be to how it is now. I know that photography is a big hobby for lots of people, and so I wanted to kind of show you my selection of gear, as limited as it is, and show you what you can achieve with a limited amount of money to put in and a limited amount of kit as well, because I quite often find myself looking at other gear and thinking that I need to invest and I need to buy the latest camera, but actually the camera that I've got and the kit that I've got has been serving me pretty well for what I want to achieve, and while I'm still an amateur not getting paid by anyone, it makes sense to keep hold of what I've got and make the most of it. So let's start with my camera. This camera is the Canon EOS M50. It is a mirrorless camera, and as you can see, it is quite a small form factor. This camera is fantastic actually. It's far surpassed my expectations for the camera. Like I say, it's a very small form factor. In the past, I had Nikon D5300, which is a DSLR, and it's quite a lot bigger than this. My main reasons for upgrading, I wanted to go mirrorless because I wanted to be able to use the back screen more. I didn't particularly like putting my eye up to a viewfinder, particularly with glasses on. I found that it was just more difficult than I wanted it to be to take photos, and it's quite handy now. I can just kind of go around, look at the back screen and be taking photos like that. You can still use the viewfinder, so I've mapped one of my buttons to take over from the screen to the viewfinder. So in very bright conditions I'll quite often do that, because then you get a better perception of what the exposure is going to be like in comparison to looking at the screen. The current lens that's on here is the Canon 18 to 150 millimeter, and that is what came with the camera when I bought it. It is a variable aperture, so when it's at 18 millimeters, it's f3.5, and then when you're all the way in at 150, it's f6.3. This isn't great. It would be much better to have a lower f-stop number for those zoomed in pictures, but that is what you get with a zoom lens, a telephoto lens, and particularly as a kit lens, this has done me remarkably actually, particularly in my sports photography. I really thought that in sports photography I was going to really struggle because of the two lenses that I've got, but actually the results I've been getting from this, I'll put a few on the screen, I've been really happy with. Now obviously it would be better if I had a prime lens or a lower, like a 2.8 70 to 200 for example, but actually what I've been getting from it I'm really happy. And like I say, as an amateur I don't necessarily have the money to be able to keep putting into camera equipment all the time, so this one has been doing me well, and I'm only just really getting to the limitations of camera and lens. The other lens that I have is this. It's the Canon 32mm, and this is aperture 1.4. This is a great lens. Now the camera itself is an APS-C sensor, which means that the 32mm comes in at around 50mm if you were using it on a full frame. It's great for portrait photography and some street photography. It's also been quite useful for concerts and some sports stuff. So I tend to chuck this one on. So on the football games I've been doing recently, I tend to chuck this one on pre-game and post-game and get the players coming in and out of the changing rooms with this. It gives you a much nicer bokeh with the f-stop that's on here in comparison to my other lens, and then I'll flip over to the other lens for the game. But yeah, a very good lens. I think I got this about 3 months after buying the camera, and I'm really glad that I did. It's been a really good investment and I'm really happy with the results. I then move over to some filters that I've got. So I've got two filters, and only two filters. I've got a CPL filter and I've also got a variable ND filter. The two lenses that I've got have got different sized rings for the lenses. So this is a 43 and I believe this one is a 55. And so I've got a a little adapter ring here, yeah, 43 to 55. So essentially, if I'm using the 32mm lens, I just have to slot this on first and then I can use the filters. It means that I only need to buy one size of filters, which is really, really useful. It means that I can use my money more wisely and I don't have to keep paying out for different things for different lenses. The CPL filter that I've got is incredible. I bought this just before we went to York. We went to York on holiday in January, and I bought this literally the week before we went. And I'm really, really glad that we did, or that I did. It really changed up what I could do, particularly with pictures of cars or pictures of water. And we had some bright days as well where using this just meant that the sky was a much deeper blue. So yeah, this is fantastic. So what this does, it's a polarizing filter. So essentially any light that isn't coming directly into the camera from the source gets filtered out. There's a much more detailed scientific explanation, I'm sure, somewhere on YouTube, but essentially it cuts out any light that isn't directly coming into the lens. And the other lens is this. It's the Canon Concept Variable ND, and it's from a 2 to a 400. So I don't know if you can see that getting darker and then getting brighter again. But yeah, a variable ND filter is really useful if you're trying to do anything with a slightly slower shutter speed. This is fantastic because to get the slower shutter speed, you're opening the sensor up for longer or opening the shutter up for longer, so more light can come in and it just makes your shots really blown out. So if you chuck this on and you just dial it in, you can then much more easily get those really nice blurred photos using a slower shutter speed, but without blowing out your photo. We went on a little walk and found this waterfall, and I was really happy with the photo when I took it, and then when I got it into Lightroom and started editing it, I was still happy with it, but I knew that I could have got much smoother water had I used one of these filters. Unfortunately at the time I didn't own one, so I had to do I made the best of what I had, but I know for the future, if we went back to the same spot, I could get a much nicer photo. I'm then going to move on to some batteries. So I've got one battery in the camera at the moment. I've also got two aftermarket batteries as well with a little USB battery charger. I have lost the original battery for this camera, and I am noticing that these batteries do not last as long at all. One thing you should know if you currently own a DSLR and you're looking to go mirrorless is that you will burn through batteries a lot quicker. So when I had a DSLR, I only owned one battery, and that would typically last me for a day's worth of shooting, and I did shoot some, whereas now I carry three, and if I'm out shooting all day, I will just about break into the third battery. If I've got my camera on all day, I'm taking photos all day. That is something to be aware of. The main reason is because you've got the back screen on all the time. It will, so this particular camera, it's fairly frustrating when I'm doing sports stuff. It will put the screen to sleep to try and preserve the battery life, but 9 times out of 10 it does that just as I want to take a photo, and it takes a little while for it to wake back up again before you can take a photo. So that's something to be aware of, particularly with the battery life. If you're someone that takes your camera out all day, if you're going to go for a mirrorless camera, it is worth investing in some more batteries. You can probably get some cheap ones like these are, or invest a little bit more money, get some more higher capacity ones that will then last you for longer. I've also got some cleaning stuff. So again, KNF Concept, some lens cleaner here, and a little blower bottle. I've only recently invested in these actually. I've owned this camera for about 3 years, maybe 4 years. And the camera before that I had for about 5 or 6 years. And this is the first time I've owned any actual cleaning equipment. So yeah, I'm using this now every time I go shooting. And I've never really noticed a problem, but I know that the more and more I'm swapping lenses about, the more it might become an issue. So I'm trying to get on the front foot with it. Next, I'm going to talk about something that isn't necessarily photography related, but it does help me with my YouTube videos, and that is the DJI Mic Minis. So I did have the DJI Mic 2, and I had the single transmitter version. I wasn't particularly impressed with the audio quality on that, and after doing some research, after buying it, it turns out to get the 32-bit audio out of it, you have to connect it to a DJI device to be able to enable that within the settings, which was quite frustrating to find out. So I simply sold that and came onto the Mic Mini. So I'm currently wearing one at the moment, and there's another one in here, and it's fantastic. Again, when we went to York, me and my girlfriend used these while we were playing in Roxy Ballroom. And while we were playing ice-free curling, which is quite a loud game. And right next to us was a batting cage people were using, and that was like ridiculously loud. But put them into the noise cancellation mode in high mode, and they were fantastic. You could hear everything that we were saying, and you couldn't really hear any background noise at all, almost disturbingly. So it was it kind of took all of the noise from the venue, which made it sound like it was just us in a musicless, personless room. But yes, fantastic microphones. I've used these in every single one of my YouTube videos. So any audio that you hear on my YouTube channel will be these microphones. I think the only time I used the other mic was for the first couple of like shorts and reels that I made. So yeah, highly recommend for anyone. They're not too expensive either, and they are literally like the size of my hand. So I have put these in my pocket, in my coat pocket, and just taken them with me on a walk, just in case you want to record anything. And what's really useful is you can either connect it with like a headphone cable, like a 3.5mm cable, or what I'm doing at the moment. So I'm currently filming on my phone, and I've just got the receiver in the USB-C port in the bottom of my phone. And it's as simple as that. You open up the box, you take one mic out, take the receiver out, plug the receiver in, the mic connects straight away, and you're ready to go. Now onto the less exciting stuff, the less techie stuff. So this is just an Amazon Basics tripod. I've had this for many years. It's been thrown about, scratched, dropped, and everything like that, and it's still going well. The legs are starting to show their age in that the locks are becoming looser, so they do occasionally kind of come off like that, and you have to lock them back down again. But it is still a very good tripod. It's certainly not a tripod for video. The head on it is not very smooth at all. But for setting up and doing photography stuff, it is very useful. Again, that waterfall shot that I got, that was taken with this, with the camera on this. So I've not got incredibly steady hands. So for long exposure stuff, I have to use this. And yeah, Amazon Basics by name, Amazon's Basics by nature. It was cheap and cheerful, but it served me well. And I would recommend it to anyone that is getting into photography. Nice and easy to use, and does exactly what you expect it to. The other tripod that I have is this one here. As you can see, it's quite a lot smaller. I believe this was a TikTok shop find, and it was meant to be a mobile phone holder, so it does come with a little clip on the top here with springs that you can put your phone into. But I've also used it for my camera, so it has got a standard thread on the top here. I've used it for my camera. It's useful to have when you pop the legs out, it actually stands quite short. So the table is just at my kind of chest height. It stands quite short, so it's really useful. I've used this for my gym content because I can just fold it away, pick it up, and away I go. And then it very quickly deploys into a usable tripod when I'm ready to make content. It's got a little angle piece on the side here, which means that when you're using your phone, you can have it at 90 degrees for any kind of vertical shooting, so for TikTok or Instagram, anything like that. You can also put it up nice and straight to get the horizontal stuff for YouTube. Again, very cheap, very cheerful. It reminds me a lot of a music stand I had as a child. Yeah, the build quality is not fantastic. However, it has been in and out of my gym bag, thrown in and out of lockers, and it's not even dented. There's not even a scratch on this. Nice and cheap, but still usable, still useful, and I would recommend it to someone. I've also got a ring light. So I believe this was another TikTok shop purchase. It was about 10 to 15 pounds, I believe, and it has got the holder in the middle there for a phone. Now, I've never actually used it with my phone in the middle because this arm isn't very strong. So if you have any phone from the last 3 to 5 years, it will be too heavy for that arm. But actually, just as a ring light, it is quite useful. It's got cool white, warm white, and a slightly warmer white. There's a control in line on the cable that allows you to turn it on and off, change the mode, so that's the color temperature, and then you've also got an intensity up and intensity down buttons to be able to match it to what you like. And it is just powered by USB, so I quite often have this on my desk plugged into my computer, which is quite useful for shooting in that scenario. And that is the full extent of my camera bag. Like I said, there's not an awful lot of equipment there, and it is quite budget friendly, really. I'll put some links in the description for everything that I've got that I can find links for. And yeah, the Canon EOS M50, I would really recommend to anyone looking to get into the mirrorless space. It's not that expensive. It's definitely on the cheap end of the mirrorless range, and it is great. It is a great camera. Like I say, I am looking to upgrade soon to like a full frame mirrorless, and I'm looking at the Sony stuff. But this has been a fantastic camera, and I will do an in-depth video on it of how I currently use it, any settings that I have running, and everything like that. And you've seen some of the photos that I've been getting from it, so it is definitely a good camera, and will set someone up really, really well for getting into the world of mirrorless photography. So yeah, that is my camera bag and what is in my camera bag in 2025. I hope you found this video useful. If you want me to do any in-depth videos on any particular part of my camera bag, please let me know in the comments down below, and I will see you in the next video.